terms of spending increases, I mean, as we talk about on the show all the time, Social Security and Medicare are approaching, the trust funds are approaching insolvency because of the retirement of the baby boomer and the growth in healthcare costs. But as most politicians will tell you, that Social Security and Medicare are the third rail of politics, that if you touch them as a politician, you're likely to lose your election or re-election. And so it appears to me that neither candidate has proposed anything that would improve the financial situation of Social Security and Medicare. And in fact, maybe they've proposed some things that would make it worse. What's your view there?
Yeah, so look, Social Security is going to be insolvent, even if we sort of transfer between the disability and old age program, 9 years after the next president takes office in 2034. At that point, under the law, benefits would be cut across the board by 33%. Vice President Harris does nothing for this. And in fact, if you enacted her plan in the whole, it probably would advance that insolvency date and make it worse by a few weeks, maybe in a few months, just from the indirect effects. President Trump is actually significantly worse, because not only does he do nothing to save Social Security, he gets rid of taxation of benefits. That goes into the Social Security Trust Fund. He gets rid of the payroll taxation of tips and overtime. That goes into the Social Security Trust Fund. He reduces the number of people here, immigrants, paying into the trust fund. And his tariffs would boost inflation, increasing those COLA payments. So we did the math on that. We think he would actually advance insolvency. So instead of 9 years, it'd be 6 years. And the overall shortfall would be 40 to 50% larger. Instead of people getting a 23% benefit cut under the Trump plan, it'd be 33%.
That's not exactly good news. Well, it's not exactly good news for seniors.
It's not. Look, I mean, when we all started doing this, especially you guys, because you're way older than I am, we were talking about how you got to save Social Security for our grandkids and our kids, right? But actually, the program cannot promise full benefits to people that are currently collecting benefits. That's true under current law, even more true under President Trump's proposal. 6 years, 6 years. That's when a new retiree would be 68 years old.
Just a kid. Well, anyway, thank you for pointing out the age differential on this program, Mark. Just so we know, we're representing different generations. I wanted to follow up on something else that's of keen interest to us elderly folks, and that's Medicare. You had a interesting piece, kind of refuting a Harris campaign tactic, which you described as Medicare, on some proposals that Trump had made or not made regarding to Medicare. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, look, so Medicare is not only the second most costly and fastest growing government program, there's also an incredible amount of waste. There's an incredible amount of overpayments, misallocation, et cetera. There's so much savings to be had. And there's almost bipartisan consensus on the things we can do. The same kinds of savings were in the Obama budget and the Trump budget, supported by Newt Gingrich and Elizabeth Warren. And yet, once every 2 years, people engage in this Medicare tactic, where they take a perfectly reasonable savings efficiency idea and they accuse the other person of cutting Medicare. They did it to John McCain. They did it to Barack Obama. They did it to Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. And, the Trump campaign is doing it to Harris a little bit, but the Harris campaign started doing it to Donald Trump a lot, saying that every single one of his budgets cut Medicare and cut Medicare benefits. It's just not the case. It is true, by the way, that starving the Medicare trust fund, as President Trump has, would do by getting rid of taxation of benefits, et cetera, that actually would result in a cut in Medicare. But the things that President Trump talked about in his budget were like paying hospitals and doctors' offices for the same kind of services, and lowering drug prices, the same kind of way that Vice President Harris is talking about now. They were common sense policies that we need to be enacting a lot more of. And this Medicare tactic of accusing every smart savings as if you're, taking away seniors' healthcare or cutting their benefits, it's just so counterproductive to the kinds of reforms that we're going to need to make.